President Trump aiming to stabilize the ongoing war in Gaza with a newly proposed peace plan. The plan is a 20-point proposal which, if agreed to, would see a swift ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all the remaining hostages, and a number of Palestinian prisoners in Israel as well. It also calls for an increased flow of humanitarian aid and the eventual transfer of control over the territory to an interim administration of Palestinian technocrats overseen by an international board of peace chaired by President Donald Trump. The plan ultimately disarms a terror organization known as Hamas and promises the reconstruction of Gaza from the ground up. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threw his support behind the peace plan. The question now is whether Hamas will agree as well. President Trump said that Hamas will have 3 or 4 days to make a decision and respond. And the president also stated that there's not much room for negotiation here, and that if the deal was denied, then he would give Israel the green light to do whatever they need to do, given the ongoing situation. Here with me to discuss this is former Navy SEAL and fellow at the Honor Foundation, Bill Brown, and former Army captain and founder of RestoreTheMilitary.com, Doug Truax. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
All right, Doug, let me start with you here today. Let's talk about this plan. 20 points, pretty comprehensive. Benjamin Netanyahu was there at the White House yesterday. He said yes. Have not heard from Hamas yet, from my understanding. What is your initial takeaway? What's your gut feeling tell you about this?
Well, it's tough with Hamas nowadays. It's totally decimated, and so it's kind of gets down to like who you're really dealing with at this point. I think that pushing the envelope as hard as you possibly can to get this over with is the right thing to do. And you know, there's a lot of pushback globally with the globalists against what Israel is doing, and so they're trying to offer up, hey, this is a reasonable plan going forward, and anybody should take it, and we get this thing concluded. If you're a leader of Hamas, we'll find an exit for you and all that stuff. But I tell you what, it's doubtful that anything great happens, other than it just keeps Israel gives them more space to keep doing what they're doing and get to a place where we avoid the next October 7th someday, and that's what they've always been after. So we'll see. It's great. It's a great new step, but you know. I wouldn't even say I'm cautiously optimistic. Somewhat always pessimistic with these cases, but Hamas needs to do something because they're on the downslope and they got to find an exit here pretty quick.
Yeah, there's not much left to exit with at this point. You're right about that, Doug. Bill, let me get you to weigh in on this. Obviously, it's a 20-point plan. Donald Trump putting himself in charge of this operation for peace. What do you make of it?
A lot of respect goes out to President Trump. He's done more on a historic level than anyone else to try to establish peace in the Middle East. You look at the Abraham Accords, where he was able to establish normal relationships with Israel, 4 Islamic countries. You look at what he's trying to broker now. Basically, here's the truth. There's a lot of moderate Arabs out there, and they want peace and prosperity. And they know they need Israel's help to redevelop. So that's what he's trying to do. President Trump's trying to make a deal here. He's trying to give them a way out. You know, he's trying to establish peace. And how is he trying to do that? Well, what is he trying to do? Number one, Hamas, they can't stay in power anymore. And so he's trying to give basically a plan where Hamas gets phased out, and he's developing leaders in the Arab world like Qatar and Saudi Arabia to help in this process.
What do you think that, and Doug, I'll come back to you. Obviously, 140 countries around the world have now said they recognize Palestine formally. Soon, Canada and others will join that conversation. 140 nations, the United States not among them. Is that the next natural step here? Because that is something that Benjamin Netanyahu does not support. He wants the board of peace. He wants Donald Trump to chair that board. He wants to bring Hamas to an end. But 140 nations brings considerable pressure from around the world for there to be a change fundamentally in the Middle East. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that it's best for us to hold the line on that. They're just wrong to advocate for that. Obviously, look what's happened. You can't have a two-state solution when one state says the other state's got to be wiped off the map. So that's never going to happen, or never should happen, I should say. So I think we hold the line on that one and just convince everybody else that if we do want true peace, we got to go a different direction. That's what's going on with this, is just say there's got to be different ways around this that we can get to a place where we're not at war with people. Hamas is out. the people that are there trying to rebuild and create a new environment. But, regardless of what those 140 think, it's not going to happen the way they want it to. That's just pie in the sky globalism. A lot of this is just like, hey, we don't like the Israelis, we don't like the Jewish state. So we're going to go after them perpetually. And so, yeah, you eventually arrive at a place of 140 nations. But hey, we're the superpower on the globe, and we're going to hold our ground. I would imagine President Trump's going to hold his ground, as well he should, and find ways to broker a peace agreement, because he's proven that he can do stuff like that, and we just got to keep hanging in there. And the Israelis have got to feel like they're safe. They got to defend themselves. I mean, this all started October 7th, when 1,000 people were killed and kidnapped and everything else. And so all this has got to come to an end, and this is the way out, I think.